My fellow Americans, a moment we have all been waiting for. It is now my great privilege and high honor to be the first person to officially introduce the 46th President of the United States, Joseph R. Biden, Jr.
Chief Justice Roberts, Vice President Harris, Speaker Pelosi, Leader Schumer, Leader McConnell, Vice President Pence, and my distinguished guests, my fellow Americans. This is America's day. This is democracy's day, a day of history and hope, of renewal and resolve. Through a crucible for the ages, America has been tested anew, and America has risen to the challenge. Today, we celebrate the triumph not of a candidate, but of a cause, the cause of democracy. The people, the will of the people has been heard, and the will of the people has been heeded. We've learned again.
Está diciendo el vicepresidente Biden que se celebra hoy el triunfo no de un candidato, sino de una causa. La democracia ha prevalecido, ha triunfado.
So now, on this hallowed ground where just a few days ago, violence sought to shake the Capitol's very foundation.
En este terreno sagrado donde hace apenas unos días se intentó sacudir los cimientos de la fundación democrática del país, se ha dado una transferencia pacífica del poder. Vemos el futuro al estilo americano, con valentía, con optimismo, rodeado de predecesores de uno y otro partido. Se los agradezco de corazón.
The strength of our nation, as does President Carter, who I spoke with last night, who cannot be with us today, but whom we salute.
Hablé con el expresidente Carter, no puede estar con nosotros el día de hoy.
I've just taken the sacred oath each of those patriots have taken. The oath first sworn by George Washington. But the American story depends not on any one of us, not on some of us.
La historia americana no depende de uno solo de nosotros, pero de todos nosotros.
Who seek a more perfect union.
Depende de nosotros, los ciudadanos.
We are good people.
Esta es una gran nación.
Over the centuries, through storm and strife, in peace and in war, we've come so far, but we still have far to go.
En paz y en guerra hemos llegado muy lejos en estos siglos.
With speed and urgency, for we have much to do in this winter of peril.
Tenemos mucho que hacer.
Much to repair, much
y muchas posibilidades de lograrlo.
Much to heal, much to build, and much to gain.
Tenemos mucho que sanar, mucho que hacer.
Few people in our nation's history have been more challenged, or found a time more challenging or difficult than the time we're in now.
Pocas veces en nuestra historia hemos tenido los retos que tenemos hoy.
That silently stalks the country. It's taken as many lives in 1 year as America lost in all of World War II. Millions of jobs have been lost.
Ha habido más personas fallecidas por la pandemia de los que perdimos en la Segunda Guerra Mundial.
Some 400 years in the making moves us. The dream of justice for all will be deferred no longer.
El sueño de justicia para todos ya no se va a posponer.
A cry that can't be any more desperate or any more clear. And now, a rise of political extremism, white supremacy, domestic terrorism that we must confront and we will defeat.
Debemos confrontar al supremacismo blanco, el terrorismo interno. Lo haremos.
To restore the soul and secure the future of America requires so much more than words. It requires the most
Pero superar estos
elusive of
retos
all
requiere
things
mucho más
in
que
a
palabras.
democracy. Unity. Unity.
Unidad.
In another
Unidad.
January, on New Year's Day in
En otro mes de enero,
1863, Abraham Lincoln signed the
en el
Emancipation
63,
Proclamation. When
en
he put pen to paper,
1863
the
Lincoln
president
firmó
said, and I
la
quote,
proclamación de
"If
emancipación.
my name ever goes down into history, it'll be for this act.
Si mi nombre pasa a la historia,
My
dijo
whole
Lincoln,
soul is in it. My whole soul is in it. Today, on this January day, my whole soul is in this, bringing America together, uniting our
en este
people,
mes de enero,
uniting our
así
nation.
como hizo
And I
Lincoln,
ask
pondré
every American
todo mi
to join
espíritu
me
para
in
lograr
this cause.
los cambios que necesitamos. Esta causa.
Uniting to fight the foes we face: anger, resentment and hatred, extremism,
Enfrentamos el enojo, el odio,
violence, disease, joblessness and
la
hopelessness.
violencia,
With unity, we can
el
do
desempleo,
great
la
things,
desesperanza.
important things. We can right wrongs. We can put people to work in good jobs. We can
Podemos
teach our
hacer
children
bueno lo
in
malo.
safe schools. We can overcome the deadly virus.
Poner
We
a
can
nuestros
reward-
hijos en escuelas
reward work
seguras,
and rebuild the middle class and make health care secure for all. We can deliver
Reconstruir
racial
la clase
justice,
media.
and we can make America once again the leading force for good in the world.
y podemos convertir a
I know
Estados
speaking
Unidos
of
nuevamente en una fuerza de
can
bien,
sound
una
to
fuerza
some
que
like a
encabece el bien en el
foolish
mundo.
fantasy these days. I know the forces that divide us are deep and they are real.
Sé que las fuerzas que
But I
nos dividen
also
son
know
profundas,
They are not new.
pero también sé
Our history has been a constant struggle between the American ideal that we're all are created equal and the harsh, ugly reality that racism, nativism, fear,
Pero nuestra historia ha sido
demonization
siempre la lucha del ideal estadounidense de que somos todos creados iguales con fenómenos como el racismo.
and victory is never assured. Through civil war,
La
the
victoria
Great
nunca está
Depression,
asegurada en
World
esa
War,
lucha.
9/11, through struggle, sacrifice and setbacks, our better angels have always
La
prevailed.
depresión, la Gran Depresión, la Segunda Guerra
each of these
Mundial,
moments,
los
enough
atentados
of
terroristas
us,
de 2001,
enough
todos
of
nos han
us
puesto a prueba.
have come together to carry all of us forward.
Mientras haya suficientes de nosotros que
And we
se
can do
reúnan
that
para
now.
sacar al país adelante.
History, faith, and reason show the way of unity.
La historia nos mostrará
We
el
can
camino.
see each other not as adversaries, but as neighbors. We can treat each other with dignity and respect.
Podemos vernos no como
We can
adversarios, sino
join
como
forces.
vecinos.
Stop the shouting
Podemos
and
juntar
lower the
fuerzas.
temperature. For without unity,
Bajar la temperatura.
there is no peace.
Es tiempo de
Only
unidad.
bitterness and fury. No progress. Only exhausting outrage. No nation. Only a state
La
of
desunión no
chaos.
deja progreso.
This is
solo
our
caos.
historic moment of crisis and challenge.
Este es nuestro momento histórico.
And unity is the path forward. And we
La
must
unidad
meet
es el
this
camino hacia
moment
adelante.
as the United States of America.
Debemos
If we do
enfrentar este
that,
momento unidos.
I guarantee you we will not fail.
Si hacemos eso,
We have never, ever, ever,
No
ever
fallaremos.
failed in America. When we've acted together.
nunca hemos fallado en Estados Unidos
And so today,
cuando hemos actuado juntos.
at this time, in this place, let's start afresh. All of us. Let's begin to listen to one
Empecemos de
another.
nuevo, todos.
Hear one another. See one another. Show respect to one another. Politics
Mostremos
don't have to be a
respeto el
raging
uno por el
fire,
otro.
destroying everything in its path. Every disagreement.
Dejemos de
Doesn't
buscar
have to be a
los
cause
fuegos
for
del
total
odio del
war.
pasado.
And we must reject the culture in which facts themselves are manipulated and even manufactured.
Debemos rechazar la cultura en la que se inventan los datos.
My fellow Americans, we have to be different than this. America has to be better than
Tenemos que
this.
ser diferentes, mis
And I believe
conciudadanos.
America is so much better than this. Just look around. Here we stand in the shadow of the Capitol Dome, as was mentioned earlier, completed amid the Civil War, when the Union itself was literally hanging in the balance. Yet we endured. We prevailed. Here we stand, looking out on the great mall where Dr. King spoke of his dream. Here we stand.
Estamos desde aquí viendo la explanada del mall donde Martin Luther King habló de su sueño.
Tried to block brave women marching for the right to vote. And today, we mark the swearing in of the first woman in American history elected to national office.
Y hoy marcamos el primer día que una mujer asume la vicepresidencia de Estados Unidos.
Here we stand across the Potomac from Arlington Cemetery, where heroes who gave the last full measure of devotion rest in eternal peace.
Aquí estamos a unos pasos del cementerio de Arlington, donde hubo héroes que dieron su vida por el país.
Thought they could use violence to silence the will of the people, to stop the work of our democracy, to drive us from this sacred ground. It did not happen. It will never happen. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Not ever.
Nunca han logrado parar nuestra democracia. Nunca ha sucedido y nunca sucederá.
To all those who supported our campaign, I'm humbled by the faith you placed in us. To all those who did not support us, let me say this. Hear me out.
A todos los que no nos apoyaron, déjeme decirles esto.
Take a measure of me and my heart. If you still disagree, so be it. That's democracy.
Todavía no estamos completamente de acuerdo, pero así es, así tiene que ser. Debe haber un derecho a disentir pacíficamente. Quizá esa sea la fuerza más grande de este país. El desacuerdo no debe llevar a la desunión. Yo seré un presidente para todos los estadounidenses.
And I promise you, I will fight as hard for those who did not support me as for those who did.
Y pelearé igual de duro para quienes no me apoyaron como para quienes sí.
Many centuries ago, Saint Augustine,
muchos siglos atrás,
wrote that a people was a multitude defined by the common objects of their love. Defined by the common objects of their love. What are the common objects we as Americans love?
Se dijo que la gente debe ser definida por los objetivos comunes de su amor.
Security, liberty, dignity, respect,
queremos
honor,
oportunidad, seguridad, libertad.
The truth. Recent weeks and months have taught us a painful lesson. There is truth and there are lies. Lies told for power.
Aprendimos una lección en estos meses. Hay verdad en nuestras vidas. Tenemos el deber y la responsabilidad como ciudadanos de honrar la Constitución y proteger a nuestra nación.
Look, I understand that many of my fellow Americans view the future with fear and trepidation. I understand.
Entiendo que muchos estadounidenses ven el futuro con miedo. Han perdido su trabajo.
I promise you, I get it. But the answer is not to turn inward, to retreat into competing factions, distrusting those who don't look like you, or worship the way you do, or don't get their news from the same sources you do, or don't get their news from the same sources you do. We must end this uncivil war. We must end this uncivil war. The pit's red against blue. The pit's red.
Debemos parar esta guerra no civil.
Versus Ireland. Conservative versus liberal. We can do this if we open our souls.
De conservadores contra liberales.
If we show a little
si abrimos nuestras almas, si abrimos nuestros corazones y mostramos tolerancia, y si estamos dispuestos a ponernos en los zapatos del otro,
there's no accounting for what fate will deal you. Some days, when you need a hand. There are other days when we're called to lend a hand. That's how it has to be. That's what we do for one another. And if we are this way, our country will be stronger.
Debemos ayudarnos unos a otros.
More ready for the future.
De esta manera nuestro país será más fuerte.
My fellow Americans, in the work ahead of us,
y podemos seguir estando en desacuerdo.
We need all our strength to persevere through this
En el trabajo que tenemos por delante vamos a necesitar el uno del otro.
May be the toughest and deadliest period of the virus. We must set aside politics and finally face this pandemic as
Tenemos por
one
delante
nation.
al virus más terrible que hemos enfrentado.
And I promise you
Tenemos que
this,
enfrentarlo como un país unido.
as the Bible
Un
says,
país unido.
weeping may endure for a night,
Y les prometo esto.
but joy cometh in the morning.
Como dice la Biblia,
We will get through this together. Together. Look, folks.
esto lo enfrentaremos juntos.
We all understand. The world is watching all
Todos
of us
mis
today.
colegas con los que estuve
Here's my
en
message
el
to
Senado,
those
a quienes
beyond our
conozco
borders.
bien,
America has been tested, and we've come out stronger for it. We will repair our alliances. And
este es mi
engage
mensaje
with the
para
world
quienes
once
están
again.
más allá de nuestras fronteras. Estados Unidos ha sido a prueba, ha sido puesto a prueba y hemos salido adelante.
And we'll lead, not
Tenemos que
merely by
enfrentar
the
los
example of
retos
our power,
no de
but
ayer,
by the
sino de
power
hoy y de
of our
mañana.
example. But by the power of our example.
No solo por el poder de nuestro ejemplo, sino el ejemplo de nuestro poder.
Progress and security. Look, you all know we've been through so
Vamos a
much.
ser un socio para la paz y el progreso.
And my first act as president, I'd like to ask you to join me in a moment of silent prayer. Remember all those
En mi
who
primer acto como
lost
presidente les pido que se junten conmigo, que me sigan
400,000 fellow Americans,
para
moms,
enfrentar esta
dads,
pandemia.
husbands, wives, sons, daughters, friends, neighbors, and coworkers.
400,000 estadounidenses que han fallecido.
For becoming the people and the nation we know we can and should be.
Los recordamos, los honramos.
Let's say a silent prayer for those who've lost their lives and those left behind, and for our country.
Hagamos una oración en silencio para quienes perdieron la vida y a quienes dejaron atrás.
Amen. Folks, amen. This is a time of testing. We face an attack on our democracy and on truth. A raging
Gente,
virus,
este es un tiempo de prueba.
growing inequity,
Prueba para la democracia y para la verdad.
climate in crisis. America's role in the world. Any one of these would be enough to challenge us in profound ways. But the fact is, we face them all at once, presenting this nation with one of the gravest responsibilities we've had. Now we're going to be tested. Are we going to step up? All of us? It's time for boldness. For there's so much to
Vamos
do.
a ser puestos a prueba, pero vamos a enfrentarlo.
I promise
Hay
you,
mucho que hacer
we will be judged. You and
y esto
I,
es un hecho.
by how we
Se los
resolve
prometo.
these cascading crises of our era. We will rise to the occasion.
Vamos a ser juzgados por cómo
Will we
resolvemos
master
estos problemas, ustedes y yo.
this rare and difficult hour? Will we meet our obligation
¿Estaremos
to
a la
pass
altura?
along
Esa es la
a new and
pregunta.
better world to our children? I believe we must. I'm sure you do as well. I believe
Tenemos
we
la
will.
obligación de dejar un mundo
And when we
mejor
do,
a nuestros hijos.
We'll write the next great chapter.
Yo creo que lo
in the
haremos.
history of the United States
Creo que lo
of America,
lograremos.
the American story. A story
Escribiremos
that might
el nuevo
sound
gran
something like a
capítulo de la
song,
historia
but
del
means a lot
país.
to me. It's called American Anthem. There's one verse that stands out, at least for me, and it goes like this.
Hay un verso en el himno de Estados
The
Unidos
work and prayers of centuries
que es importante para mí.
brought us to this day. What shall be our legacy? What will our children say? Let me know in my heart when my days are through. America, America, I gave my best to you. Let's us add our own work and
Estados
prayers
Unidos, Estados Unidos, te
to
di lo
unfold
mejor
the
de mí.
story of our great nation. If we do this, then when our days are through, our children and our children's children will say of us, they gave their best, they did their duty, they healed a broken land.
Si hacemos esto, nuestros hijos y los hijos de nuestros hijos reconocerán que dimos lo mejor de nosotros.
Before God and all of you, I give you my word. I will always level it. I will always defend the Constitution.
Les doy mi palabra.
I'll defend our democracy. I'll defend America.
Defenderé la Constitución.
And I'll give
Defenderé la democracia.
all of you
Defenderé a Estados Unidos.
everything I do.
Daré todo.
Your service. Thinking not of power, but of possibilities. Not of personal interest, but the public good. And together, we shall write an American story of hope, not fear. Of unity, not division. Of light,
Juntos escribiremos
not
una
darkness.
historia
A
estadounidense
story of decency and dignity.
de unidad,
Love and healing.
no de división.
Greatness and goodness.
Una historia de
May
dignidad y
this
paz,
be the story
de
that guides
esencia.
us, the story that inspires us, and the story that
Que esta
tells
sea la
ages
historia que
yet
nos
to
guíe.
come, that we answer the
Y
call
la
of
historia.
history. We met the moment. Democracy and hope, truth and justice.
La historia que se
did
cuenta en
not die
años, que
our
tuvimos la
watch,
capacidad
but
de
died.
responder a la historia.
America secured liberty at home and stood once again as a beacon to the world.
Que el país no se murió mientras estábamos aquí, sino salió adelante.
One another and generation to follow. So, with purpose and resolve, we turn to those tasks of our time, sustained by faith, driven by conviction, devoted to one another and the country we love with all our hearts. May God bless America, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, America.
Que Dios bendiga a Estados Unidos.